ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to have a bit of a discussion today around some new information that has made the release order of version 3.0's characters and the actual users of the existing new Sonata sets a lot more clear. So let's go ahead and first give a bit of a summary for where a lot of the misunderstandings actually came from. If I go into this new Resonators page over here, you'll see Lene, the first character released in version 3.0, a Spectro basic attack damage dealing sub DPS. That's her role. Spectro basic attack damage dealer. And the thing is, you don't have to take my word for it. You can just go ahead, look at the role described by Kuro Games. Basic attack damage, amplification to the team. It's pretty clear what's going on, right? A lot of people, they looked at one of the existing sets that was arriving in 3.0, Rite of Gilded Revelation, myself included, and based off this description, a lot of people believed you would stack up a buff of Spectro damage, and then when you use your Liberation, you'll then gain a big basic attack damage boost to carry you through the rest of your rotation. And a lot of people believe that this meant both of these Sonata sets are for Lene. And it's not super clear, right, how the release order of Sonata sets are going to be like. Halo of Starry Radiance, right? Mornier, guess what she has? She's got a starry halo. Makes sense. Lene, she jumps around and has bright colors. Her set was called Pact of Neon Light Leap. You can clearly see the name of the set is geared around the unit. But when Rite of Gilded Revelation, something about like gold and knowledge, right? Gilded means covered in gold. Y'all remember when, you had like trimmed armor in RuneScape? That was like gilded. That's why. People thought, oh, since the set could be for Lene, maybe the naming scheme just doesn't make very much sense. But we made a discovery. This set is horrifyingly translated, or just horrifyingly worded. This is how the set actually works. And I've got a quote on my Cantarella, you'll see why. The set reads, dealing basic attack damage increases Spectro damage by 10% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. And with 3 stacks, casting Liberation grants a 40% basic attack damage bonus. This is how this should read instead. Keep up the whole stacking part, right? Dealing basic attack damage increases Spectro damage. And with 3 stacks, Resonance Liberation gains a 40% basic attack damage bonus. Because this 40% basic attack damage bonus, ladies and gentlemen, is a passive buff that applies at 3 stacks and only works on your Liberation. Let me show you a live actual test. So, I'm going to be having my Cantarella over here. She has this set on. And let's just go. Level 1 Fallacy of No Return. Use my Liberation. No prep. 12, 690. Now we're just going to end the challenge real fast. And so what we're going to do now is build up 3 stacks of the passive, then use her Liberation. And you'll see that we'll get some different results. Go back to the Fallacy, go back to difficulty 1. And now, before we begin, without attacking, her Spectro damage bonus is at 94%. I attacked a couple of times. Now my Spectro damage bonus is at 124. What does this mean? I fully stacked up the set. And now that the set is fully stacked up, my Liberation now gains a 40% basic attack damage bonus. Not casting Liberation is going to give me a 40% basic attack damage bonus. My Liberation now has this bonus built in. So now let's cast it. Into the endless deep. Oh, now it did 15,948. So as you can see over here, I don't think any human on Earth would have looked at this set, seen the description, and then think it works that way. Not a single person. I think most people thought that casting Liberation would then buff this. It would still have the same duration of 5 seconds, but it would just augment the effect to add 40% basic attack, and it would refresh with every single hit. That's what everyone thought was going to happen. And when Hivatia, who's on Lene's set and is the main 4-cost echo on Lene's sub-DPS set, is shared with Rite of Gilded Revelation, what conclusion do you think a lot of players are going to drive? And when you even have the actual tacit fields in the fucking game sharing the 2 sets, and then Rite of Gilded Revelation is also the most common set across these 2, look at it. It's the most frequently showing up one. A lot of people just simply thought it was meant to be used with Lene. this is the reality of the situation over here. Rite of Gilded Revelation does not work with Lene at all. And Kuro is simply releasing another Spectral basic attacker right after releasing one. Because you want to know what I think is pretty much clear by now? Each 3.0 unit only has one new set. And the name of the set is just geared around who it's for. Mornier, the character with a starry halo, uses Halo of Starry Radiance. Lene, the character who shines in neon colors and jumps around, uses the Pact of Neon Light Leap. And so, Rite of Gilded Revelation, Golden Knowledge, is probably going to be used by the guy whose drip marketing says, should that molten gold drip? And has, like, science and shit in their background, so you know he knows a fucking lot. I think this alone, when you compare it to the fact that Lene said, should that rainbow spill, and then she's Neon Light Leap, I'm pretty sure should that molten gold drip is probably Gilded Revelation. Because you all know what gilded means. It means covered in melted gold. To gild something, you gotta cover it in melted gold. Remember Game of Thrones? Season 1? Yeah, Viserys, he got gilded. I don't know if you can put the image in there, but that's just a reference over there. Most people know that by now. And so, what this means, ladies and gentlemen, is that I think this set was actually for Luuk. And Luke's just going to be a basic attack spectro damage dealer right after we just had a basic attack spectro damage dealer release. And this is the thing. A lot of people think that this release order doesn't make any fucking sense. And I can agree with them. Because Lene is clearly meant to be a key sub DPS in these teams, right? She inflicts 2 debuffs. Second, she buffs Resonance Liberation and all damage amp. So naturally, a lot of people thought, Lene doesn't even buff the basic attack damage type, so like, why would they release a 3.0 unit who's the same attribute as her, and then also uses a damage type that she doesn't buff? But that's what's happening! That's just what's happening! So it's just going to be like, I guess Lene's gonna buff Liberation on the outro, but I guess if she's ever on Luke's team, his main damage type of basic just won't get buffed. Or maybe Lene's not supposed to be on his team, and so Luke is just gonna release with, like, using Sanhua as his fucking sub DPS in 2 points in version fucking 3.1. Or 3 points, I don't fucking know, right? At this point, I'm kind of just like, the release order just doesn't make sense to me. And I think a lot of people in the back of their mind thought it would be kind of fucking dumb if Kuro released 2 Spectro basic attackers in a row. They wouldn't ever do that. So, of course, these 2 sets are gonna be for the same unit, right? No, because this set doesn't work on Lene. And so this set has to be for a new unit. And so Kuro is just doing literally the unthinkable. Or, and this is the potential future, Luke's just not coming out until way later, and this set's just not going to do anything for like 2 or 3 versions. That's also a possibility. So whatever happens, you're kind of just getting fucked. Because if Luke is not next patch and this set is just there so that they don't release 2 Spectral basic attackers in a row, well, if you farmed this, and it's a good chance, right? With both sets with both Tacit Fields dropping this fucking set, you have a lot of these pieces, you just don't build them. So they make the set that you're not supposed to use on anybody in the present version, the one that's the most commonly farmable. Which is another, I think that's just a decision. That you decided to make the set that literally nobody can use the most farmable one in the update. It's definitely a decision, right? It's definitely a decision that I would say. I don't know how I feel about it. It doesn't feel particularly great, but it is what it is. Now, I'll just get into what I think is like some crackpot theorizing when it comes to Luke's kit. And believe me when I say this video is being recorded way too early for there to even be any leaks at all regarding Luke's kit. So don't worry, guys. This is just speculation from my end entirely. Luke over here has some specifics when it comes to what he does in his free time. He's the attending doctor and counselor, but he's meant to be clearly a damage dealer. And look what he does for the club. Multi-turret. Multi-turret club consultant. So my take is that low-key, he's either gonna like summon an entire like fucking either like mecha army or like have like lasers that will like blast down on the enemy, and they'll actually be summons. And so because they're summons, his set not having a duration actually makes sense because they're summons. And so the damage bonus only applying to like that one hit for Cantarella maybe doesn't necessarily matter that much, right? Because that buff is going to persist. That 40% basic attack damage bonus, right, is going to persist via the summon. Because what else is fucking multi-turret club supposed to mean, bro? Like, he's Heimerdinger. Bro is Heimerdinger from League of Legends. And it kind of fits the vibe too. That's what I think. And this is also just like my crackpot theory when it comes to how they're going to make him work with Lene. I think that Luuk might be the first character in the game. And this is, again, pure speculation. I think Luuk might be the first character in the game that might have, like, scaling conversion, where he'll convert, like, Resonance Liberation, damage amp, or bonuses into, like, basic attack. I think he might be one of the first characters in the game with that. And if he does, then it makes sense if he can work with Lene. Otherwise, their release order makes no fucking sense. Because then you're going to have the Liberation Outro Amp buffer with, like, the basic attack damage dealer. And what better way for a conversion to make sense than if he's somebody that summons turrets? Could be a possible thing to me. But yeah, this is just me thinking about how this guy would have any universe where he's gonna work with some of the existing comps in the game. Because the realization is that this is a DPS set. This is a DPS set for a DPS character. And for a DPS character to function in a game like Wuwa, they need to have a sub-DPS that adequately supports them. And if Lene isn't the character supporting this set user, you want to know who is? Sanhua. If Lene doesn't support this character, it's Sanhua. So the character's best in slot team on release is going to be Sanhua. Does that even make sense? Does that even make sense? No. Hey guys, you actually don't want to use Lene with Luuk. You want to use No, that doesn't even make sense from that perspective either, because that would just, it's like the exact opposite of what a gacha company would want to even do anyways. Because they would want Luuk to work well with the other units so you feel compelled to pull them. So, like, just even from, like, the most pessimistic perspective ever, it wouldn't happen. Those are all of my thoughts when it comes to Luuk, when it comes to when it comes to the Rite of Gilded Revelation, when it comes to this Sonata set and all of that. I think it's pretty clear, right? You can even tell from the color scheme and all of that shit. I think this is enough confirmation. Should that molten gold drip, that's enough confirmation for me that he uses Rite of Gilded Revelation, right? That's enough confirmation for me. But when it comes to, like, teammates and stuff like that, if it's not going to be Lene, it's going to be a different character, right? Likely a Sanhua, because Rosia's not going to be that sub-in either because she's dog shit and she's Havoc. So we'll just wait and see when it comes to more official kit information regarding Luuk. But I guess this is what I'll take from that. It's not the worst thing in the world that I decided to pre-farm a really, really good set, well, for this set. Because I guess it turns out that it should reasonably, oh look, I actually have a better piece, right? It should reasonably actually, like, do something in the future. So if you're somebody like me that, let's be honest here, we all wasted our pulls. If you're somebody like me that just wasted your tuners and tubes deciding to invest in this shit in the present, we all got kind of fucked, right? It's unfortunate that we got fucked so hard, but hey, at least maybe in 3.1 we'll get our comeuppance. But just think of any investment you made in this set as an interest-free tuner loan to Kuro Games, because there's nobody in the game that's going to use this until another version. It's completely useless for the next 30 plus days. So yeah, I'm happy to admit that I got fucked so that the rest of the community doesn't have to. Do not grind this set. It's a waste. It's a literal waste of every single resource you have right now. Just for some clarification for what I meant by I'm fucked, I used to have like 3,000 of these, and about 2,000 of them went into this set that I can't use. So that's what I meant. I can't do anything about that. That will be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you all thought about this breakdown, and if this has helped your pre-farming plans for the future, because, yeah, I'm fucked. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.